I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Sure, certainly. Director Anderson?
Here.
Director Buchanan?
Here.
Director Colson?
Here.
Director DeWitt?
Here.
Director Durrani? Director Frega? Director Fuentes?
Here.
Director Higgins?
Here.
Director Hobson?
Here.
Director Lewis?
Here.
Director McAllis?
Here.
Director Melvin?
Here.
Director Pang? Director Ross? Director Troiani?
Here.
Chairman Dillard?
Here.
We have a quorum of 15 present with 1 absent. Of those 15, 1 is on the phone.
Great, thank you. The first item of business is item number 3, and that's the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on March 16th, 2017. Any comments or questions on that? If not, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes? Dr. Troiani moves that we approve the minutes from March 16th, seconded by Director Sarah Pang. Madam Secretary, why don't you take a roll call so we have a baseline roll call?
Okay. Director Anderson?
Yes.
Director Buchanan?
Yes.
Director Colson?
Yes.
Director DeWitt?
Yes.
Director Frega?
Aye.
Director Fuentes?
Aye.
Director Higgins?
Aye.
Director Hobson?
Yes.
Director Lewis?
Yes.
Director McAllis?
Aye.
Director Melvin?
Yes.
Director Pang? Director Ross?
Yes.
Director Troiani?
Aye.
Chairman Dillard?
Yes.
15 ayes and 1 absent.
Thank you, and the minutes are approved. Next is item 4, which is our public comment or scheduled speakers, and we do not have any scheduled for today. So we'll move right on to item 5, which is Leanne Redden, our Executive Director's report. Ms. Redden.
Good morning. Picking up almost right where we just left off from the Finance Committee meeting. Currently, the state owes us $447.6 million. The short-term borrowing cost year to date is just shy of $600,000. We've talked at length about that today. On the state side, we kind of talked about this already too. My report's becoming redundant. I can just pack up and go home. Unfortunately, there's no progress really to report on to the end of the state budget impasse. There hasn't really been any real discussion surrounding the capital program either. The General Assembly is currently on a 2-week spring break, so they will return to Springfield next Tuesday, and we'll keep at it. On the federal side, in Washington, Congress also left for a 2-week spring recess on April 7th, I should say. They return on April 24, which is Monday too, with 5 days to reach an agreement to fund the remainder of the fiscal year 2017 or pass a short-term extension because the current spending law is set to expire April 28th. So they've got some work to do there. Given how far along the FY 2017 appropriation bill is already in its drafting process, it's unlikely that President Trump's requests to eliminate the Tiger Grant program and cut funding for the CIG program, which is the Capital Infrastructure Grants program, the President's proposed budget would likely not be captured in this current year, at least this year. Now, that doesn't mean there's any guarantees going forward. However, we're concerned that the President's budget documents recommends that the federal government move away from funding funding capital for transit. And that's of a longer-term concern for us. The document states that future investments in new transit projects would be funded by the localities that use and benefit from these localized projects. So, needless to say, we'll continue to work with our Illinois delegation as well as members at large, and actually the chairman and Jeremy are heading out to DC next week to continue to speak to that point as well. Changing topics, the Community Planning Program, in cooperation with CMAP's Local Technical Assistance Program, are announcing the availability of funding and technical assistance for transportation, land use planning, and implementation projects throughout the region. The call for projects will open on May 5, and applications will be due June 29th. We will publicise both of those deadlines in the press and through our blog as well as social media avenues. The Community Planning Program provides funding and technical assistance to local governments and the RTA service boards for transit-focused planning, studies and implementation activities. To date, the Community Program has funded over 100 transit-oriented development plans and implementation projects using a combination of RTA, local and federal dollars. Last year, staff completed a comprehensive assessment of that program, and that resulted in a number of identified enhancements, many of which are new eligible project types to be included in this year's call for projects. The RTA and CMAP are hosting a day-long symposium on May 16th, so if you have any constituents that are interested in learning more about that, I would encourage them to participate. It'll be an opportunity for potential applicants to learn about the technical assistant opportunities through this program. Attendees will also have a chance to discuss best practices with past awardee recipients and get one-on-one input on the application process. Next steps will include staff review of those applications once they're received, and that'll take place during the summer months, July, August, and we anticipate coming up with a preliminary program of projects that would be released for public comment in September, and then that would be hopefully finalised in October. That is currently budgeted within our fiscal budget for RTA. And then finally, the RTA, CTA, Metro and PACE will be celebrating Earth Week, culminating in Earth Day on this Saturday, April 22nd, I should say, by encouraging regions riders to use transit and celebrate transit's benefit to the planet. Representatives from each of the agencies will participate in Earth Week tabling events. I'm not sure actually what that means, at offices around the region in the downtown area, really just to promote the benefits of transit. Each agency will have a table, hence tabling, the display of public transportation information, Earth Day materials, and other assistance, including trip planning tools. I want to mention another way in which we're promoting our transit region, across our region. You may recall that last month Chairman Dillard suggested that board members write letters to the editor in publications in their local areas, promoting the use of transit and emphasising the need for transit funding. Director Ross worked with our Director of Communications, Susan Massal, to write such a letter, and that was submitted to a Will County newspaper. It was published yesterday, and we thank Director Ross very much for taking that time to support us and help out spreading the word. With that, that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Super. Any questions for Leanne? Yes, Director Lewis.
Leanne, are we going to get anything like a link on that TOD date? Is there anything we can send out to interested parties that might be helpful?
Yeah, we can craft an email and incorporate the link, because it'll be also posted through all the information will be web-based. So we can send an email to all board members with a link that you could then forward on to others.
That'd be very helpful. Thanks.
Great. And JD, that was a great column in the Joliet Herald. So thank you so much for doing that. It was really well done, and that's a major paper in Will County. So it's great. And hopefully, I think it may get picked up by other folks out there. Just one addition I have to Leanne, I am doing an APTA event with Jeremy next week, where we have a forum. Congressman Davis will be there, and among others. But I'm going to do a joint trip to Washington with the road builders, which will be. I think we've stunned some members of Congress that we actually show up in their offices with CTA, Metra, PACE, and the RTA all at once. A couple of years ago, when I first took this position, they were stunned to see us all come in together. Well, we're going to go in with the road builders in May, which will also stun them, as I always remind people that our buses and trains run on roads and bridges. So we're all in this together. So that will be an interesting experience. And it was the road builders who actually reached out and said, "Hey, can you take a couple days and go to Washington?" So we will do that. Moving on, if there's no questions for Leanne, Item 6 is the approval of a consent item, or of the consent items as they appear on the board's agenda. They include 6A, which was the ordinance amending, or is the ordinance amending the 2016 A series working cash notes direct placement as described by B. 6B is the ordinance authorizing the capital amendment as Dave explained it. And 6C is the ordinance appointing the trustee to the RTA pension trust as explained by Nadine and B and Leanne. Are there any questions or comments on those? Those were discussed in the committee meetings. If not, can I have a motion and a second for those? Motion by Director McGallis, second by Director Trione, that we adopt.
Was a motion. I just want to.
Oh, yes, sir.
I want to make sure.
Oh, you want to be, you want to abstain on which one, Doug?
First one.
First one. 6A, Audrey. Okay, a second by Director DeWitt. Is there leave for the attendance roll call on the items on item 6? Seeing no objection, you want a roll call? Roll call. You want them individually? Let's just do them individually. On 6A.
Do we want to do 6A first and then the other two together?
It's up to Director Higgins.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
6A, ordinance amending the 2016, the working cash notes. Call the roll on that, will you please,
Okay.
Audrey?
Director Anderson?
Yes.
Director Buchanan?
Yes.
Director Colson?
Yes.
Director DeWitt?
Yes.
Director Frega? Director Fuentes?
Aye.
Director Higgins?
No.
Director Hobson?
Yes.
Director Lewis?
Yes.
Director McGallis?
Aye.
Director Melvin?
Yes.
Director Pang? Director Ross?
Yes.
Director Troiani?
Abstain.
Chairman Dillard?
Yes,
We have 13 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 abstention.
great. It passes and it will be, that vote will be so recorded. So let's do 6B and 6C together. Kind of a motion and a second on those two. Director Ross moves 6B and 6C be adopted, seconded by Director Michael Lewis. Is there leave for the attendance roll call on those two? Seeing no objection, the attendance roll call will be used for the recorded vote on 6B and 6C, and those two are approved.
15 ayes and 1 absent.
Thank you, Audrey. Item 7 is the approval of contract and expenditure items as they appear on the board agenda. Leanne, why don't you talk a little bit about the ordinance authorizing the contract for the interagency signage bundle 1A construction or whoever else. Jill?
Yes, thanks. So we're seeking approval for signage contract in the amount of $352,251.60. This will be the construction of our signage program, the first phase. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on that? If not, and 7B, new change in procedure, and that's that I believe it's board travel reimbursements now they're in your packet. They come before the board. So can I have a motion on 7A and 7B to approve those two? Director McGallis moves that we approve, seconded by Director Chris Melvin. Is there leave for the attendance roll call here? Seeing no objection, leave is granted, and the items in 7A are approved.
And B. 15 ayes and
B,
1 absent.
right. Item 8 is new business. Any new business to come before the board today? If none, I'll remind everybody, it's hard to believe May is coming up. But May 25th is our next board meeting with committees at 8:30 in the morning, followed by the regular board meeting. And if there's no further business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion and a second for us to adjourn in record time here today. Director Melvin moves we adjourn, seconded by Director Lewis. And all those in favor signify by leaving. We are adjourned. Thank you.